Hello, beautiful people. My name is Anna Koa, Sophia Christ Consciousness Channel and Holistic Healer. Today, the purpose of this video is we're going to talk about shadow work. So, in my experience, shadow work is discussed a lot in the spiritual community and sometimes psychological and mindful community, but it's not really explained. So, that might be, other people might have different experiences, but this is what I've ran into in the spiritual community. So, my perspective, oh, and this is my altar. This is some chalices, obviously, the shadow or dark yin on the left, Divine Creatress Mother in the middle there with the translucent pink, and then the white light aspect on the right, which is kind of cool because it's like glowing. The sun is like glowing off the water in there. They're full of purified Hawaiian water. We also have a Lumerian crystal in the middle there. That's about the size of my palm and fingers. Fits in my hand. Amethyst crystal, citrine, selenite, a little bracelet I found. Some other kind of crystal in the bracelet. And abalone and sustainably harvested Palo Santo. So this is my little altar. It's really beneficial to set an altar if you believe during shadow work and any kind of work, manifestation, prayer work, ceremony. It kind of acts like a program, essentially, like a programming, like a signal to the universe. Today is the new moon. I think it was last night sometime, so we're still in the energy of the new moon, and is also kind of my birthday. I'm born on the 29th of February, so I don't have a birthday this year, but it's kind of my birthday. So anyway, shadow work. So we're not necessarily, utilizing languages or concepts like healing the shadow or transmuting the shadow or getting rid of the shadow. In fact, you can't get rid of the shadow, and you can't really, from my opinion, can't really heal the shadow either. So what we're doing instead with the shadow is bringing the shadow aspects to light. We're releasing shame around the shadow aspect. We're bringing it, and by light I mean to consciousness. So we're making them not repressed. We're not shaming ourselves for our shadow aspects, and we're recognizing when our shadow aspects and how our shadow aspects are actually gifts and blessings. So for me, this is what shadow work is. And the way to do this is through inner child trauma healing. Because oftentimes when our shadow aspects were expressed during childhood, because of social appropriatenesses and perhaps because of our guardian's own shadow projection issues, they tend to be shamed and repressed. The other aspect that is important to talk about is shadow is not connotated with like anything negative or bad. So the darkness and shadow, and that's all aspects of who we truly are. They're all aspects of divine unconditional love, and just as divine and holy as the light. It wasn't until I think 2,500 years ago when patriarchal religion started taking over, that light was connotated with God. So this is when a masculine god would come down from like the mountaintop and have like some sort of lightning or a staff or bring light in some way. And then light became synonymous with God and holy aspects, and the dark became negative because the dark is commonly associated with feminine aspects, like the void, which is creation, right? Or the what's it called? The uterus, the womb is pretty dark, right? Okay, so this is going to be a step-by-step video of how I work with my inner child and shadow aspects. So the first thing that we're going to do is identify some form of block or some sort of like repetitive pattern in my life or in your life, okay? And for the sake of this video, I'm going to speak in first person, and you can just apply it to yourself in accordance. If you want to, you can come along with me on this journey. I'm going to do a step-by-step example on myself on how I do what's called inner trance reframing with the inner child. And if not, if you just want to watch this video for instructions, and it might be beneficial for you to write down the steps of what I'm doing. I've been doing this for a long time. It's kind of, aside from doing spiritual readings on people and readings of their higher self and Sophia Christ consciousness readings, this is my other form of work, is working with people's memories and inner child and divine self and different aspects of that nature. Okay, so the first thing is, so this can be done through the body first or through the mind and feelings. So say, like, for example, you have a back pain or you have discomfort in digestion, you can go into that part of your body and ask what feeling is coming forth for this feeling. Like, what block am I to be working on here? For me, I'm going to go from the feelings to the body. So that looks like I have a fear of, and a pretty like self-sabotaging pattern of not, of like being afraid to express myself. Okay. And as an artist and a creative, obviously this can be pretty detrimental to the soul and the body. So we're gonna go into that feeling of what it feels like. It's like a anxiety, almost like social anxiety about being perceived. And then we're gonna ask where we feel this in the body. And some people I know have a little bit of a difficult, challenging time being able to identify where they're feeling it in their body, and that's okay. If you don't want to be able to, if you don't want to identify or have a challenging time identifying where it is you're feeling it in the body, just skip this step and just go straight to the colors. So the first thing we're going to do is recognize a pattern, right? Or recognize something that needs to be worked on, a block, some sort of trigger, some sort of issue, right? So mine is a fear of expression, a fear of self-expression, coupled with a fear of being perceived, right? I don't want to be seen, right? Which is obvious because I'm not putting myself on camera. I'm putting my beautiful altar. So, and I'm feeling this in my heart and in my stomach. It's almost like, I would say, the same feeling of exhilaration and excitement, but it's coming up of like anxiety. So this makes sense because the inner child, as I used to be a performer, I used to be an actor, musical theater performer, I was a hip hop artist, and I felt extreme thrill, right? And an endorphin rush of being seen and expressing myself. So we're recognizing how this is two sides of the same coin. So I'm feeling it in my heart and in my stomach and a little bit in my temples. So now I'm going to ask if there's any colors that are associated with this. So can I perceive any colors that are associated with this feeling of fear of expressing myself, fear of being perceived? So I am getting some like a little bit of yucky yellow orange color that's coming out in between my heart and my sacral. Okay, and then there's like an electric blue green that's coming out of my temples. Okay, so we're just gonna feel that feeling. Also, what I'm sensing is like a rose energy that is circling my face at this point. So now we're gonna ask this feeling. So this feeling of fear of expressing myself and fear of being perceived, I'm going to ask these parts of my body, and I'm going to ask this color, when is the first time I ever felt this feeling? Okay. So I'm coming in about 6. And if you're having a hard time identifying a specific memory, that's okay. You just pull in your inner child. You pull in an image of what you look like or what you felt like as a child, and you feeling this feeling as a child. If you're having blocks around that, just talk to the emotion in these parts of your body. Okay? So I'm in shoes for some reason. I used to never wear shoes as a child, and I'm seeing myself. Oh, okay, so this has something to do with school. Okay. So what I'm receiving is that as a child by myself in the woods, I was very expressive and very playful and very much not afraid of expressing myself. And then there was a feeling of like kind of self-consciousness that came up around going to school. And I think like my hair is combed, it's in like a barrette or like a little ponytail, which normally never is either. Okay. And it feels like I just got home from school. And like I have to transition now from being kind of repressed or like I had to like fall in line and be appropriate in school. I wasn't very expressive in school, to coming back to like, okay, yeah, so this is like some of my first days of coming back from school, coming back to my home after being in school all day and feeling this separation of like what it felt like to stay home and like play in the woods all day, right? Like when I was like 4, I went to preschool, but mostly not, right? So mostly I would stay home when I was about 4 before kindergarten. Okay. And so I'm kind of like just frozen in my room where like I'm recognizing that there was an aspect of myself and a life before I was perceived, like socially perceived in school. Okay. And I'm trying to like make sense or understand. It's very like confusing and disorienting to feel like I'm this kid, this person who just came back from school and had to be perceived in this way. And so I had to repress how I usually express myself. And I was very self-conscious and shy and quiet in school. And then it's like this trauma of like, oh yeah, like being reminded, oh yeah, this is my home. This is where I usually play. It's like I kind of fractured my identity at that time, where like that was who I used to be, and now this is who I also am. The fact that I'm being perceived by others, and the fact that I have to behave in certain ways and become basically a different person in order to be socially appropriate in school. And I'm sure I still played, right? I'm sure I still behaved that way, but it wasn't quite the same energy. I'm a little traumatized essentially and fractured from being that little girl that had no concept of being self-conscious or having to change her true expression. Okay. So what we're going to do is feel and see this little girl exactly how she is. And this little girl is me, right? I'm in my room, I'm in my shoes, I'm a little frozen. I just came back from school. I don't know how to transition from the identity that I had in school back to the identity that I am used to and very happy with. And I'm just kind of like frozen there. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our current self, so my present self, right? And I'm going to do like this. This is a little bit of a process, so it's okay if it takes a little while, but I'm going to make a hybrid essentially of my true self with my higher self. Okay. So it's just basically who I am, my present self, integrated with my highest consciousness, and we're going to become one entity. And then I'm going to go into this memory and into this room. So my present integrated self is going to go into this memory. So I'm in this room with this little girl. Okay, so now I'm in the room with little Anna. Okay, and I'm in there. I can see her. She can see me. She knows who I am. If your little girl or little boy doesn't know who you are, explain it to them and give them what they need energetically to trust you and to recognize that you are a safe person. So this is going to look different for everybody, okay? My inner child, my little girl, I think because we've worked together before and she knows who I am, feels already safe with me. If you need to work with your little girl or little boy or whatever, not necessarily gender neutral, whatever, you can work with your child, okay? So this looks like bringing in a lot of rose quartz energy, Mother Mary energy, kind of filling up the room and filling up their energy with this safe, unconditional love until they feel safe enough to open up to you and to trust you, okay? And this can take time and work. So now what we're going to do is start a dialogue. So I'm going to kneel down next to her and I'm going to ask her what's going on, what's happening. Right away, she's very relieved to see me because she understands, even at that age, that I understand what's going on with her. And she's saying, she's not talking to me, but she's expressing to me telepathically through feelings. She's expressing to me, I don't want to be like this, right? I don't want to be this person. I want to be Leo. I want to be the Leo, right? The Leo is like the very home-based, very expressive, very warm, very proud, not very self-conscious, right? She doesn't want, okay, and they'll say, okay, well, that's okay. We can, and then I'm saying to her, my present adult self is saying to her, okay, let's work on that. Let's see how we can help you with that. I think the first thing, so my adult present self is offering her a suggestion. How about the first thing we do is take off your shoes? Okay. And she says, okay, I'm scared. The inner child is saying, okay, I'm scared, but I'll do that. And so I kneel down, I take off her shoes, I take off her socks, and I say, how about the next thing we do now is put you in some comfy clothes because I know you don't like these clothes. So I put her in a big t-shirt that's kind of like a dress too. And then I don't need to ask this. I kind of just motherly take her hair out and allow her hair to be loose. And I say, does that feel better? She said, yes. And now she says, yes, I just want a hug. So I'm going to be giving her a hug, probably to soothe the nervous system and to just comfort her. And so this is a little disclaimer separate from what I'm doing here. This is not, this might not come easy at first, right? This energy of, sorry, there's a mosquito. This energy of having this dialogue back and forth with the inner child, that's okay. If all you can get in the beginning is like, I just want a hug, or I want to feel safe, just provide them that feeling of safety and love. And then eventually, as you work with them more, they will develop more, you'll develop a more conscious dialogue with them. And it might not look like talking. It might just be telepathically feeling and expressing telepathically, which is how souls express anyway. Okay, so she just wants a hug. She's on my knee right now. She's kind of hugging me. She's kind of like forlorn. I think that's the word, forlorn. She's looking a little bit like she has that 3 Mile stare, where like she's not really looking at anything. She's kind of just like a little like, whoa, right? Okay, the next thing that's coming to mind is that she used to be, and well, I used to be obsessed with flying in Peter Pan. So she says, I really want to fly. I want to be like Peter Pan, because this is before she went to school and before she became self-conscious and had this identity fracture. This was all she could think about. Okay, so let's put on Peter Pan. Let's have Peter Pan actually come into the room with her. She wants to be Peter Pan, is she saying. She's saying, I don't want Peter Pan to be here. I want to be like Peter Pan, okay? So let's go outside. what about if we go outside? She said, yeah, but going outside makes her sad because it reminds her of who she used to be and how she used to be. And it makes her sad. And I said, okay, how about we have some milk? Because she just got home from school, right? So she might be wanting some sustenance. So I said, okay, well, how about we have some milk? I keep saying she, so I shouldn't displace her, but I used to love drinking milk for some reason as a child. So we go in, we have some milk. There's even a certain cup that I haven't thought about in years that she likes to drink from. It's a certain like metal cup. So we give her some milk, and how about some toast with jelly? She loves that too. We're going to have some toast and jelly with that. And then it's like, okay, we don't have to go outside. Let's just go sit in the back porch. And then we go sit in the back porch. And then she's like, okay, no, actually, I want to go to this certain tree that she loves to go. So this tree, I used to like talk to trees a lot when I was little. And this certain tree is like very motherly. And like this tree was like in our yard. And we had a huge access to forest right behind our house. So we had this huge forest that I would just play in barefooted all day long. But this tree, because it was in our yard, was like this guardian spirit or like this bridge spirit. So we're going to go to this tree that's in our yard. And she's going to talk to us. Now my inner child is talking to the tree. She's reconnecting to the tree. The tree has certain aspects and energy that I, as a human in my certain incarnation, may not have access to. So she's kind of hanging out with the tree. She's letting the tree heal her. She's hugging the tree. She's sitting with the tree. And she's saying, you don't have to play right now, right? The tree is saying this to her. You don't have to play right now. If you want to go inside and just watch a movie, that's okay. If you want to just hang out with Anna, that's okay. We used to have little rabbits. She wants to go see the rabbits, okay? So this is the healing aspect of it. So it's not necessarily me returning her back to her fractured self, right? Or making her behave in a way that she's lamenting that she's lost. It's just providing her with the soothing energy that she needs. So she wants to go inside. She wants to see these baby rabbits. She just wants to hang out. She wants to play in her room. It's a little safer for her. And then maybe tomorrow or the next day, she'll feel good enough to go play outside again. But right now, she just wants to play in her room. She has a lot of stuffed animals that she's attached to, like as if they're humans, because did not have like many friends, and my sisters are lovely people, but we're not didn't play with me that much. So I kind of conceived my stuffed animals as actual people or actual entities, which I think a lot of kids do actually. So there's a particular big bear that she wants to do. She just wants to cuddle up. Now the sun is setting, evening is coming. She wants to just watch Peter Pan with me. So we get in bed and we just watch Peter Pan, and that's what she needs, and she feels good. And she says, once I feel better, my inner child, me, she says, once I feel better, after a couple of days, I'll start going and playing outside again. Okay. And what I'm offering her without pressure, without pressure and without forcing her, is the feeling of what she felt like prior to going to school. I can't remember who said this, but somebody said trauma is just you forgetting something. So we just forget like either aspects of ourselves or the holistic feeling of ourselves, and the healing is remembering that which we forgot before the trauma. So we're providing this energy. We're not abandoning her, but we're giving her the energy of what she felt like before she went to school. And now she does want to go in that, okay? She feels safe in that energy now. She doesn't have to wait a couple of days. It's this real feral, wild, like connected energy that she has with the forest and this play space where she doesn't really have any concept of the difference between reality and play or imagination, and she can just exist in this real sacred, spiritual, magical place all day long, and she's just wild, and everything is there for her, and she's so safe. I used to climb trees like barefooted all the way to the top of the trees, okay? And I am 37 now. So when I was like 5, it was a little bit different. We lived in the middle of the woods. Like, my mom knew I was safe, right? Like, no one was coming on our property or anything like that. So I would just be, and I was like the last of various children, right? Like almost 5 or I think 6 maybe children altogether. So, parents kind of just let them run loose at that point, and she knew I was happy and safe that way. And so, yeah, I would just climb to the top of these trees and I would just play. There was just this, and there was also this like constant interaction that I had with the forest and the trees and the stream and the hills and the leaves and everything that wasn't separate, right? So I'm just feeling this feeling and allowing her to live in this feeling and be this child and be this feeling, okay? And we're just going to feel this feeling, and now I want to feel this in my body, what this feels like in my body. So I feel it everywhere. It's kind of like this supernova crazy energy where my soul is just like bursting out of my body, and I can see like light beams coming out everywhere. It's like a very supernova kind of feeling. And specifically, we're going to bring it, so I feel where my heart and my stomach is like this bejeweled, like this amethyst, I suppose. It's a bejeweled purple. Excuse me, I will burp and yawn when I'm healing, where the energy's rising or I'm making new passageways in my energy. Excuse me. And then in my temples, it's just this swirling, sparkly white and crystal blue swirls. Okay, so that feels pretty good. And so we're just going to really feel this feeling, allow this feeling. And then there is a little bit of this like impending doom. So I'm going to explain to her and express to her, Anna, just because you go to school, right? And just because you feel like you might have to be shy or self-conscious in school, it doesn't mean you can't also be this girl, right? They're not separate. You don't have to abandon who you really are or just because you go to school, and just because you have to be perceived by people, and just because it might not be appropriate. Okay, so she understands. She says, okay. And I say, also, whenever you feel confident and whenever you feel ready, you can bring this energy to the people that perceive you. And you can even express this energy in public. And she says, no, but this is like my private little world, right? Which is okay. I say, okay, well, maybe when you're an adult, right? Maybe when you're an adult, you can bring people that are safe into this private little world of your true expression. And you can truly express yourself through comedy, through painting, through dancing, through acting, through drumming, all of the things that you're going to grow up and do. And it might not be exactly what you're feeling and experiencing in this creative expression as you play in the woods, but it's going to be a representation of that, and it's going to allow people to see the beauty of your expression and your creation. So this is all a little bit above her head. Okay, so she's like, I don't understand what you're talking about. Okay, so we just kind of want to stay in this feeling. So we're just letting her know. Okay, so the main thing is Anna, just because you have to go to school and you may have to be a certain way at school, okay, doesn't mean you can't also be this girl. She likes this. She likes this energy. You can always come home and be this girl and come back to the woods and play in your room, and it's important to keep this. This is the diamond part of your heart. It's important to keep this. Okay. So now what we're going to do is identify the false beliefs. So that's a healed aspect. So we're going to ask her, like, what do you believe about yourself, right? The inner child. What do you believe about yourself? She says, well, if I'm not safe, right? I'm not safe in the world, she's saying. My inner world and my true expression is too sacred and precious for it to be safe in the world. And that's actually not that false, right? So we can tweak it a little bit and say, okay, well, we can create certain environments. We can create certain ways of expressing where it will be safe, okay? And maybe you do want to keep this to yourself. So she's also saying, like, if I'm like this in public, like if I am the way that I am in my private world in public, nobody will like me. Nobody will understand me. They'll think I'm weird. Some people, right? And I'm talking back to her and I'm saying, yeah, some people won't understand you. They'll think you're weird. But the people who, oh, I just knocked my little camera. I hope it's, oh no, oh no. Okay, let's not, here, let's get this. Okay, so that's also a sign for me to wrap it up, right? We're over half an hour. So what we're going to do with the false beliefs is we're going to ask our higher self, so is this true that I'm not safe in the world? And then the higher self, it's a yes or no question. The higher self will usually say no. If the higher self says yes, you have to continue working with the shadow and with these certain aspects and with these feelings. So is this true that I'm not safe in this world? No, that's not true. And if I'm not safe in this world, what is true? I am always safe, protected, guided, loved. Okay? So that is the positive affirmation that you will say 3 times a day for 21 days to heal and rewire the false beliefs that you created from this trauma. Okay? So what you do is you ask yourself the negative belief or the false belief, is this true that I'm not safe? No, it's not true. Your higher self will say no. And then you say, if that's not true, that I'm not safe, what is true about my safety or about myself? And really in relation to being safe. And they usually, and by they, I mean your higher self usually responds with the truth about safety. So I'm going to do another example. Is this true that if I express my true self, people will think I'm weird and won't like me? Yeah, it's partially true, but your family and friends will truly love you. You'll find people that really love you if you express that true, sacred, precious, inner, creative world that you're used to being alone. If you express aspects of that, this is my higher self saying, people will love you. So to reframe that or edit that into a positive affirmation, we say, when I express my true self, people love me, right? And we say that 3 times a day for 21 days. Now, the last thing that we want to do is see how this shadow aspect of ourselves, so this feeling of self-consciousness, this feeling of shyness, this feeling of wanting to keep private and separate, my inner world of playtime and connection to nature and myself is actually serving me in some way and is actually a positive thing. So there are some people in some situations that don't deserve this aspect, right? Not deserve or whatever, everyone deserves beautiful things, but there's some people who maybe won't get it, or there's some circumstances where it's not appropriate, or there's some people who, if you show this to them, they will diminish it, right? So we can utilize this shadow aspect of ourselves by this shadow aspect of, like, I'm going to be this certain way in public sometimes around people who may not appreciate this preciousness of my inner world, which is honestly extremely healthy. I don't care what anybody says. If people say, oh, you need to shine your light all the time, and the people that whatever, the people that are not for you will go away. That's not the only thing that will happen. Sometimes if you shine your light all the time, you will attract people who need the light. So you will attract people that are narcissists, right? Or you will attract ridicule or criticism that is not good for the inner child. So we reframe how this shadow aspect, right? We bring it to the surface, we bring it to the light. We're conscious of how there's this shadow aspect of me, right? Of feeling like I want to hide, right? I don't want to express myself. And what was the other thing? I don't want to be perceived. So that's not all the time, right? That's only around certain audiences and certain individuals. So now my job is to recognize and foster a sacred, safe environment and platform and space and friends and community where it is safe, not safe, it's always safe, but it is conducive for my development to express myself in this way. And then also, and so this shadow work, right, is exalting the shadow aspect by seeing how it serves me. So there's some people like predators, narcissistic energy, cynical energy, um, where this is not, or just people who need energy, right? They might not be narcissistic or cynical or predatory, but they might be in need of healing or in need of energy, and they can just siphon and latch on to this energy if we're just like little kids, like positively expressing our true inner sacredness all the time. So it's discernment, right? So that is not transmuting it, but reframing it into and utilizing it in the proper when, how, and where is actually the positive aspect. This shadow aspect is discernment, which is crucial for spiritual development and protecting our inner child. So now we recognize that this shadow aspect of ourselves, this aspect, we do our best to heal the trauma around how this shadow aspect first expressed itself in our childhood, right? Which is us going into the memory and talking to the inner child and giving her what she needs. And then we reframe the shadow aspect to exalt it by seeing how it serves us. And in an exalted state, in an appropriate expression, we understand that this is divine discernment that this shadow aspect is bringing to us. So that was cool. That was gorgeous. That was beautiful. This is a pretty long video. If any of y'all have any questions, I don't know who's gonna watch this. I think like 20 people watch these videos. Maybe, I don't know anybody who's gonna watch this whole thing, but we'll see what happens. Maybe people that this is, deep work that some therapists will do, some therapists don't do. If you have like major trauma, I would say to have a facilitator there. So have a holistic healing facilitator there or have a therapist there. Some traumatic memories and some shadow work, we do need somebody to hold our hand in order to address these certain issues. If you need assistance, this is what I do. Not assistance, but an aid or an anchor, somebody to help you guide through this process, reach out. Okay, much love and aloha and happy new moon. I think also today is like some epic astrological alignment. I'm not going to be posting this on the 28th, but I am recording this on the 28th. So bless y'all. Happy birthday to me. Bye.